At the very beginning, let's talk about a moment that most men feel deep in their gut before they ever understand it logically. The moment a woman decides you're no longer a priority. This moment is rarely loud. It's not marked by a breakup, an argument, or a clear rejection. Instead, it happens quietly, subtly, and psychologically. And because it's subtle, most men miss it. They sense something is off, but they can't quite explain it, so they compensate. They text more. They try harder. They become more patient, more understanding, more available. And that response is exactly what locks the shift in place. When a woman decides you're not a priority, it's not because you suddenly became unattractive overnight. It's because the emotional hierarchy in her mind has changed. Human beings constantly rank what matters most to them, not consciously, but emotionally. And when you fall down that list, her behavior changes before her words ever do. One of the first subtle signs is a shift in responsiveness. She still replies, but the energy is different. The warmth is gone. Messages become shorter, more delayed, less engaged. Not because she's busy, but because emotionally, responding to you is no longer urgent. Priority shows up in immediacy. When someone values a connection, they naturally make space for it. When you're no longer a priority, you fit into her life only when it's convenient. Another early sign is that effort becomes once. You're the one initiating conversations, planning meets, checking in, keeping the connection alive. She participates, but she doesn't contribute. And here's the key psychological detail. She doesn't feel guilty about it. When someone is a priority, there's an internal pull to reciprocate. When that pull disappears, effort feels optional. This is where many men get trapped. They interpret her continued presence as interest, without noticing the imbalance. But interest without investment is not attraction, it's access. Another subtle sign is emotional containment. She stops sharing personal thoughts, frustrations, or future-oriented ideas. Conversations stays. You no longer feel emotionally included in her inner world. This happens because emotional sharing is reserved for what feels relevant and safe. When she stops seeing you as a priority, she unconsciously limits how much of herself she gives you. You're still there, but you're no longer inside the emotional circle. Plans also become vague. We'll see. Maybe, I'll let you know. There's no follow-through, no certainty. Priority creates clarity. Low priority creates ambiguity. And ambiguity is often used as a buffer. It keeps you available without requiring commitment. Another sign men miss is that she stops negotiating for you. When a woman prioritizes you, she makes adjustments. She reschedules. She compromises. She explains. When you're no longer a priority, she doesn't justify her absence. She doesn't reassure you. She simply disappears and reappears as she pleases. And the most important psychological shift happens internally for you. You start feeling slightly anxious, unsure, and off balance. You begin monitoring her behavior, reading into tone, waiting for replies. That feeling is not insecurity, it's your nervous system responding to inconsistency. Healthy attraction feels grounding. Being deprioritized feels destabilizing. Here's the truth most men don't want to accept. When a woman decides you're not a priority, it's usually because the dynamic stopped feeling emotionally polarizing. She no longer feels tension, curiosity, or challenge. Either the connection became too predictable, too accommodating, or too centered around her needs. This doesn't mean you did something wrong. It means the emotional balance shifted. And chasing never restores balance, it confirms the hierarchy. The more you try to earn priority, the less priority you receive. Because priority is not requested, it's granted voluntarily. Another subtle sign is that she stops reacting emotionally to your presence or absence. If you pull back, she doesn't notice. If you lean in, she doesn't respond with excitement. Emotional indifference is stronger than rejection, because it means she's already adjusted internally. And here's where clarity matters. The moment you sense you're not a priority is not the moment to negotiate. It's the moment to observe, to stop overgiving, to stop filling gaps with effort, to recenter your life around your own direction. Because the only thing that can restore polarity is self-respect, expressed through action, not explanation. Sometimes, when you stop making yourself endlessly available, not because you manipulated her, but because you changed the emotional structure. And if she doesn't re-engage, you didn't lose anything real. You gained information. The biggest mistake men make is trying to revive priority by being nicer, more patient, or more understanding. But attraction doesn't respond to sacrifice, it responds to value. And value is demonstrated when you don't stay where you're no longer chosen. The moment a woman decides you're not a priority is not the end of your worth. It's the beginning of your clarity. Because once you stop trying to be important to someone who doesn't choose you you create space for someone who will. And that shift from chasing priority to becoming selective is where real power returns.